Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Disney Springs. It's the same day as the last time we talked. You know, when we went shopping at World of Disney. I just wrapped that up and I was getting a little hungry. I was like, I could go for a snack, and that got me thinking about a comment that I recently got here on the channel from one of you talking about low sugar or no sugar added options here at Walt Disney World. Now this is an interesting topic that I wanted to get into because, you know, we've often talked about dietary restrictions here at Walt Disney World before and how Disney does a good job at accommodating different dietary needs, including allergens and whatnot. They do their best, but this is an area that when I took some time to look more into it, I found was a little bit surprising, but maybe not all that surprising. I guess it depends on your perspective. So like I said, Disney has a lot of great options that cater to the needs of their guests, but when it comes to no sugar added or sugar-free, depending on how you look at it, depending on what your specific needs are, it seems like Disney is falling short. And I'm not just saying that because this is something that I personally keep an eye out for. Quite frankly, I don't. But when I got this question, I did a little bit of research, I started poking around on the internet, and I noticed two things. Number one, people haven't talked about this topic for a really, really long time. And when they do talk about it, they seem to have the same feelings, that there's just not a ton of options available out there at Walt Disney World. And the more I dug into this, looking at menus and all of that stuff, I found that I think they're right. There aren't a ton of options here at Walt Disney World, whether we're talking about options that are no additional sugar added or sugar-free. Now, after doing a bit of poking around, I did notice that you're more likely than not going to get assistance with this over at table service dining locations. It seems like many table service dining locations have like a no sugar added sorbet, but I haven't seen anything sugar-free. There are some people talking about sugar-free options that were available at like the Plaza ice cream shop at Magic Kingdom that have since been discontinued, but there don't seem to be a ton of options available beyond that, at least from what I've seen. But I figured since we're here at Disney Springs today, I could take a look at some of the options, specifically the sweets that are available that are sugar-free and or no sugar added. So we'll do a quick hunt as we move our way back to Orange Garage, and we're gonna start here at Goofy's Candy Company because they have a lot of pre-packaged snacks, and from what I've seen thus far, it looks like that's gonna be the best bet for those of you who are looking for sugar-free options here at Walt Disney World. So let's get in there and see what they got. Now, I will admit, when it comes to options here at Walt Disney World, reaching for a prepackaged snack isn't gonna be what people wanna hear. You wanna hear that there are like these fantastic sugar-free options available. And unfortunately, I don't think that that's the case, but if you do want something sweet, you don't wanna bring it with you, you wanna get it here, you know, something that is Disney because it's from Disney, I think that this is gonna be the way to go, especially for those of you who want sugar-free, at least based on what I've seen online. So we'll see what's actually here though. Because like I said, I want to see what's actually available rather than just talking hypothetically. Now, Goofy's Candy Company is going to have prepackaged candies and stuff like that. It's not going to be anything too special, but I do want to see what is available in terms of sugar-free options here, at very least. So far, we do have a sugar-free soda, but that's all at the moment. We're gonna keep our eye open though. They have some cookies. These are really good, by the way. Huge fan. Not sugar-free, but huge fan. Next, we have the bulk candy, and I don't see anything that is sugar-free, although once we get over here to the chocolate section, we do have no sugar added on those milk chocolate raisins, as well as milk chocolate peanuts, but I think that's all we've got here. Alright, so when it comes to Goofy's Candy Company, we saw two options, but those weren't really unique in any way. I definitely wouldn't get them here. I'd probably buy them from home and bring them with me, which is probably going to be your best bet if you're looking for sugar-free sweets when you're here, but I still want to try and find an option for you, so we're going to keep our eyes open. I am a little surprised. They used to have a sugar-free cookie that seems to have disappeared. I don't know the last time they had it. It might have been a while ago. I have seen pictures of it. I have seen it in real life, but it wasn't here today. So we'll keep our eyes peeled, but that's a thumbs down for Goofy's Candy Company, especially when it comes to sugar-free options. Now, my next order of business was to make my way over to Erin McKenna's, which is a bakery here at Disney Springs, known for accommodating different dietary needs. They have like gluten-free options and so on and so forth. They're a great place to check out, especially if you have some dietary needs, concerns, restrictions, whatnot. I love them. I think that they have some fantastic options, even if you don't have any dietary restrictions. I've often described them as like just a really, really good bakery. While they're not necessarily the most unique thing you can find here at Walt Disney World, they are certainly a fantastic alternative. You don't have to make any sacrifices if you're eating there. You're gonna get some delicious treats. But I decided to go check out their menu in the My Disney Experience app, and I can't find anything sugar-free, at least not that is listed on this menu. I also don't see anything with like no sugar added. I know that that's a distinction. It's very different between sugar-free and no sugar added, but I don't see that listed on their menu. But since we're here, I figure let's take a quick look at Sprinkles' menu as well. And let's see. They do have cupcakes over at Sprinkles. While I'm not a huge fan of cupcakes, generally speaking, I think Sprinkles has some fantastic cupcakes. In fact, we just tried their like seasonal cupcake over there the other day, and it was so good. Nope, I don't see anything here that is sugar-free or that has no sugar added. So both of those options aren't necessarily an option, at least according to the menus. That doesn't mean that they won't have options available to you. These places have menus that rotate out all the time, so it can be worth your while to make your way over and take a look. You know, ask them, do you have anything that's sugar-free or with no sugar added, depending on your dietary needs, and they should be able to give you some information on that. I will say though, we are currently at Disney Springs, and while Disney does a fantastic job, at least in my opinion, accommodating different dietary needs, I know we're talking about sugar today, and that's not really an area I think that they are shining with, at least from what I'm seeing so far. It's important to understand that here at Disney Springs, we're not talking about Disney owned and operated restaurants and bakeries and whatnot. We are talking about third-party places that are located here at Disney Springs. In other words, Disney does not own Sprinkles, they do not own Erin McKenna's. So it's important to realize that standards and accommodations and the way that these places are going to accommodate your dietary needs is probably going to be different than Disney, and it's not a reflection on Disney. It's not Disney at all. It's just places on Disney property. So it's really important to keep that in mind, especially if you have really specific dietary needs, because what Disney excels at, again, Disney Springs restaurants might not. They are not the same. So be sure to keep that in mind when you're here at Disney Springs, and make sure that you are double and triple checking, especially if we're talking dietary needs versus dietary preferences. I know that there's a distinction there as well. So just make sure you're doing the legwork here. Now, when it comes to other places that you can find food here at Disney Springs, obviously the list is rather long. Oh, check it out. Can you see the really big turtle in there? He's huge. So cool. Anyway, like I said, the list is rather long and the menus are always rotating out. So what will be available today won't necessarily be available during your visit. And of course, today we're just talking about Disney Springs, although I'm sure you could say something similar elsewhere at Walt Disney World. We'll keep our eye open when we travel around to the different theme parks, and we'll also talk about Universal as well. But I think as a general rule, when it comes to dietary restrictions, especially things that you're super concerned about, or if you have very specific wants that accommodate your needs, I think that the best option is to bring food with you. One of the best things about Walt Disney World is that you have the ability to bring food into the theme parks, into Disney Springs, and so you can bring those snacks that you want to munch on when your family is getting something else, if you need something that's sugar-free. And even though I know that that's not necessarily the answer that most people want to hear, I do think that it can be the way to go so that you don't feel left out, especially if you really want to have a wide variety of options available to you. While there are a couple options, I mean, we did see that chocolate covered peanuts and raisins. I mean, I don't necessarily think that that's like something I would categorize as variety here. It's just some options that I found, and there are bound to be more of them. We're bound to be able to find more as we continue to keep an eye out for this in the parks. So we'll do just that and we'll talk about it. But also I wanted to talk about this because I wanted to put this out there so that more people can share their thoughts, their recommendations, and some of the things that they've stumbled into when they're at the parks. Now again, it's important to keep in mind that what someone comments might not necessarily be available right now. As we mentioned earlier, things have been discontinued in the past and sometimes menus change, but at least it'll give you something to keep an eye out for. So if you have been to the parks, you've kept an eye out for things that are sugar-free or no sugar added, tell me what they are in a comment down below. Also, tell me your favorite thing to bring to the parks. If this is a particular need of yours, you know, do you have snacks that you prefer to bring? Do you bring your own sodas into the parks? Whatever the case, tell me about it in the comments. I think that'll be a great way to kick off this conversation and give people some options that they might not necessarily be thinking about. But with that, I think we're about to wrap up this very brief discussion about sugar-free and no sugar added foods here at Disney Springs. Like I said, we just breezed through a few today. I was keeping an eye out for something that I thought I'd be able to find, and unfortunately I wasn't. And that unfortunately happens here at Walt Disney World. It happens elsewhere too, but yeah. So that's all for now. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't already, so you can keep an eye out for more videos like this one. And yeah, like I said, put your recommendations in the comments down below. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say and keeping an eye out for those things while I'm wandering through the parks. Until then, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.